I'm Brent Leary.
Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players. That's all I really have to say.
Well, how's this? I like your hat.
And I'm going old. I'm going old school new. So
Yeah,
the hat is a tribute to the origins of the Rams back in 1937. They started out in Cleveland. They're the Cleveland Rams, and I just like wearing this hat. And this is one of my new. It's like a lightweight hoodie.
that's a
Brand.
hoodie.
It's a lightweight hoodie.
Wow, cool. And
See, I
that's
bought it for Vegas, so when I have to go to Vegas, I can wear this.
yeah, in 104-degree heat.
Yeah, well, not inside.
Right,
You
that's
hardly ever have to
true.
go outside with that.
Thank
Um,
God. That's the one other advantage of Vegas is you never have to leave the damn building.
yeah, and I'm glad that we're like not in Vegas right now, but also not up northeast. Man, they're getting hit.
I know, hammered. You guys got pretty hit, right?
Yeah, we had like a rough Tuesday night, Wednesday morning tornadoes, and unfortunately affected some folks that we know.
Yeah.
So shout out to Anand. Hope he's feeling better. But yeah. But now all we got is like nice sun, 60s, but it's like these 30, 40 miles per hour wind gusts, keep blow
Really?
you over. Oh yeah, it's been
See,
really windy out there.
we had a sunny morning, but now we're supposed to have rain pretty much about now. Might be, I can't tell from in here. But we didn't get much wind. But rain, you could see rain was coming, and everything started getting darker outside. Right. So there's a good chance we're going to get some more rain, but I don't think anything torrential. We had an hour maybe of torrential rain, and that was that.
Well, into each one's life, a little torrential rain must fall.
But
That's what I've heard. Anyway, we are the CRM Players, and guess what? We've been bringing the as. Got to make sure I pronounced it.
yes.
Since 2009.
Which is amazing. 15 years.
Yes, it's really. It doesn't seem like that's right, but
Well, that's because we had 6 lost episodes, which we can't account for. I think I realized I think they're in Area 51.
it's probably better that we haven't for David Alston since now he's running for public office.
That's right.
You wouldn't
He
want that
is.
to show up now at this point.
Oh yeah. Wow, what a scandal that would create in New Brunswick.
Look at this here. Like, we got a comment from somebody I've known for a long time and somebody you're just getting to know.
Yeah.
Our buddy Shashi, who you actually did get a chance to meet him at the Zoho Day, right?
Yeah, not only at Zoho, but afterwards I met him at Zoho. I loved him like right away. He's a great guy, right? And then and really smart and an accomplished analyst too. But I also hosted a lunch for the area analysts at Trummer's, my favorite, of course. And he was one of the analysts who came.
Nice.
So we got a
Who are
chance to all
who
hang
is this
out.
group of analysts that you speak of?
Well, it's Shashi, of course, was there, and then Rebecca Wetterman, who, one of the PIRs, man, player in residence. So she was definitely going to be there. And Dion Hinchcliffe from Constellation was there, and Erwin Lazar. I forget the name of his actual company. But he's like a communications, telco communications analyst. And I think that was it. There were 5 of us total. I just named 4 others, right?
Very
Shashi,
nice.
Rebecca, Dion, and Erwin and me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
It was really nice. It was great. I'm gonna they don't know this yet, but Shashi's now hearing it. I'm probably gonna try to regularize it a little bit where I host it. I don't know, once a year, maybe once every 6 months, whatever. And
wait a minute. Did you just make up a word? Is regularize a word?
I think so.
Hey, Rebecca. Rebecca, ask
Yeah, she
Patrick.
is.
Ask Patrick if regularize is a word. I'll trust what Patrick says.
I'm pretty sure regularize a word. And Rebecca, of course, had her first successful hosting of her show.
She appreciated the lunch.
Oh yeah. I was there's no way. I'm going to see her next week too. Actually, I think she knows about this.
I guess that
But
means regularized must be a word then. If
yeah, that's
Patrick
Patrick's.
gave it the wolf.
That's Patrick's paws up, right?
But you were speaking of the
The
crunch,
the
weren't
crunch. Our first Rebecca was so. This is a show we launched. The model is unique. Well, I don't know if it's unique. Let's call it at least very rare that you have. This is not. These are people are not co-hosts. They are 4 individual hosts who are serially hosting their show once a month per, but every week there'll be one of them. So Rebecca hosted the very first show. Dave Smith hosts the second show coming up this week. Jeremy Cox will host the third show, and Graham Hill will host the fourth show. And each of them are specializing on an area or topic that they want to focus in on. And it's entirely up to them what it is. They have themes. Each of them have like a general topic and a general area, domain that they're going to kind of work with, and then go from there. But it was exciting. Rebecca had a really good show. She had Vala Afshar, who's
speaking of which, we have a
right.
clip. Let's go to the clip. Get a little taste.
That's right.
Of the crunch with Rebecca and Vala Afshar.
In the book, so much the importance of velocity, speed, and direction. Without alignment, you can't achieve optimal velocity. When I joined the company in 2015, we were about 16,000 people trying to get to 5 billion in revenue. We exited last fiscal year at 35 billion at 75,000. So I've had 7x growth in the 8 years I've been with the company. And yet there's an unquenchable thirst to innovate, to create value at the speed of need for our stakeholders. So anytime we can have grounded data in our private LLMs that can help our ability to do more, to stretch higher, we're going to use it.
Now, I didn't understand, was Vala taking credit for the 7x growth during his time span there?
The answer is no, just because knowing Vala, he doesn't take credit for anything, even though he is actually responsible for a lot.
No, that was some good stuff. And, that's just the first one. And you mentioned the next Crunch episode.
Yep. You got the, there we go.
This is we call him Wiz, but that's his rap name. But he's also a very influential analyst, David Smith.
So I know his theme is the modern workplace, basically.
Digital
collaboration, the digital workplace, right? And that will be his consistent theme. And I don't know Nora personally. I know she's a CMO of a company,
Something Networks.
Yeah, I don't know her, but I'm looking forward to hearing her with Dave. Of course, Dave's wonderful. And look, all 4 of those hosts bring something really interesting and unique, and they're very different people too. There's very little similarity of personality with that quartet.
I will say this, Nora. I don't know Nora, but I applaud whoever took her headshot. It's a very easy to work with headshot, very nice. And I also applaud whoever did Dave's headshot. Actually, wait a minute. I know who did Dave's headshot. His son did that headshot because he made a point of telling me, hey, can you update this? Because I want to use the one with my son. I was like, of course. So great headshots all around for next week's Crunch episode with David Smith, aka Wiz. I just like saying Wiz for some reason. I don't know.
The man's professional.
He is definitely a professional. All right. So guess what?
What?
I mean, that wasn't the only show that happened this week, although it was great. It was a great premiere, but we also had Whispered. Do I still need to do that? I just say it instead of just whispering it.
Probably.
It's kind of getting old.
Given you whispering is literally the only time it's ever a whisper involved with it.
Yeah, because I still don't quite fully buy into the name, because if anybody ever watches that show, there's a lot of great insights, but ain't nobody whispering.
That's amen, brother.
Matter of fact, little clip from this week's show has the one and only Brohammer along with the one and only irascible Esteban Kolsky. And all I can say is you don't want to invite the bro hammer to any ice cream socials. And here's why. Here we
Yep.
go.
One likes where you're coming from. It has to be easy for them to opt in, and part of that opt in is core to trust, right? And trust has really become kind of a watchword with all of this, because when I give you my contact information, I'm counting on you, Esteban, to keep sending me the same quality and value that you have. If you suddenly send me like, oh, Esteban's having an ice cream social, 25% off client engagements, I'm like, why is Esteban sending me a commercial? The opt-in has to like be consistent in the value, and then you have to keep deepening the trust and getting more and more of that information sharing going between the parties.
It's like an overlooked thing, but it's one of those things that all of us have really thought about a lot. Like we sign up, oh, this person really has some great insights. Oh, I love the information they provide. And next thing you know, you're getting invited to like parties, or there's a 2-for-1 bakery sale. Like where did the insights go? I don't want that.
And the irony of all of it is we have literally built careers, and our entire industry has built careers on the idea of meeting or exceeding expectations, right? That's our entire careers are built on the idea of at least meeting those expectations, which is exactly what he's talking about. If I'm opting into something, I expect it to consistently meet the expectations I have for it. And that was based on my initial impression of it, right? That's why I opted in the beginning of that. Or whatever point you opt in is what your expectation of it is. And, to the point, although I really do like ice cream.
Wait a minute. So you opted in for the insights, not the promise of the ice cream social? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, no, I opted in for the insights, but if somebody gives me free ice cream, I would take it. Not free 25% off client engagement. I couldn't care less
Yeah,
about that.
I think that
But
was you get the free ice cream if you do the 25% client
yeah,
engagement.
no, that should be free ice cream. What was that? Bo, buy two. How's that thing go?
What, the BOGOs? Buy one, get one free?
No. But they have this thing that somebody's been circulating about. Buy one for 150. Buy two for 300 and get one free.
Yeah, you don't want to have to like spend time trying to figure out if somebody's trying to get one over on me when you sign up for an insight kind of thing,
right? Any opt-in. I mean, that's the thing, and that it even goes further though, because I remember once I was speaking at Zoholics. This is years ago. I think it was the 2018 one where you and I spoke. The first one where we, when Sandy first was coming around, and I remember asking the audience, how many of you use opt out rather than opt in? And like 80% of the audience raised their hand, and I just looked at them and I went, I hate you. I said, I hate you. Because that's the other side, which is the companies that basically expect you to take the initiative. Well, automatic renewal being, of course, the biggest transgressor of all of that. That is the worst. And the only time you even had automatic renewal because you didn't, pay that close attention, which is my usual problem, is when you get charged, right? And then you realize, wait a minute, I'm not automatically renewing this. Then you go and you either get the money back, or if you can't, you end automatic renewal and cancel. And that's the other side. You may not even want to cancel the damn thing, but you want to decide year to year what to do. And they call it cancel.
Right.
They call it cancel, right? And so they don't even have it right. So John's point, which is that nuance, is even when you're opting in, there's certain, let's say, things you have to do to retain that trust, even though opting in is the right strategy for the company that's providing you with the option.
Yeah, that's the whole bottom line.
Yeah.
And that's why I wholeheartedly agreed with the bro hammer.
Me too.
You feel like you're getting a bait and switch when you opt in for something because you like the current something and you expect more of the same current something going further on, and then all of a sudden, instead of that current something, you get offers for you to buy stuff.
So let me ask you this. So let's say, just for the sake of it, you got 10 of those similar current somethings. Then you got one of the ice cream socials, and then you got 10 more current somethings, and then, or even 16, and then another one. How do you respond to the ice cream social in that environment?
Yeah, but you know what? If there's a 10-to-1 ratio between that current something and the ice cream thing, I'm good with that, because even after getting the ice cream thing, there's going to be like 10 other the stuff that you're really signing. It's almost
Right.
sort of like, you watch TV for the like the sporting event, let's say it's like the Final Four women's. I'm going to watch that. You're probably going to watch that.
Yep.
And we're going to be okay if it's a great game with commercials in there. That's all right. We're used to that, but we're getting a great game. That's first and foremost. We're getting a great game. When it starts going like 50 minutes worth of commercials and like 2 minutes worth of games,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm out.
And then you got to deal with, just to keep complicating the matter, and following your exact line of, let's say, area of thinking. Think about how the streaming services do it. Every one of them has a different model. One of them has you pay us, you don't have to get a commercial. The other one has here's 134 seconds of commercials every 20 minutes, even though you're watching a great series or a great show. Here's another one that says, okay, here's 3 minutes or 4 minutes of commercials in the beginning, and after this there won't be any. And by the way, fast forward's disabled on all of this, right? So but the models are so different, and they're testing expectation is what they're doing. Every time they do that, they test my tolerance for the thing that I least like about what they're doing with the thing I want from what they're doing and the thing I expect from what they're doing. And to your point on, let's say, regular network TV, whether it's being streamed on a streaming service or actually on a network, there's an expectation you're going to get commercials, which will be just enough to be enough, but not too much to be annoying, or YouTube, the interrupting right in the middle of the flow of something you're watching. The timing sucks. There's so many nuances that impact the behavior on things where you opt in or opt out. YouTube kind of sort of wisely, it's not perfect, but gives you the option to opt out of them at least, because they have to pay people too.
Yeah, we're going a little long on this, but
that's all right.
YouTube Premium, I pay for that because I don't want the ads.
Right.
I don't want those ridiculous disjointed breaks in between this content I'm watching, and all of a sudden out of nowhere. At least with commercials, you kind of know how they're doing it on TV
and when they're doing
it. There's no warning. It just goes right in the middle of somebody's sentence and bang. So I pay for that YouTube Premium. But guess what? Now all the content creators are putting their own commercials in their own content.
Yes, they are.
So sponsored by, and then it's like a 3-minute thing. And I'm like, all right, man, this is getting out of hand.
Well, those you can fast forward, though. That's the good news there.
You can fast forward that, but still, you just don't want to have to always fast forward. It's just like, can't.
No, I agree. And I absolutely agree. And look, we have one commercial, and it's about 2 seconds. But it's right what it's got to be.
Yeah. So anyway, as we kind of digressed a little bit on
that was great.
But we check out Crunch, check out Whispered Insights, check out In the Hot Seat. That's every other Monday or so. Lots of good stuff. There's a lot of good stuff out here.
Thinking of this, we also had the beginning of the second season of No BS with Bob.
Oh, how could I forget that? No BS with Bob. I should have had a clip ready to go for that one, but you know what? It was funny, and then we'll move on. Yeah. I did the This Week in a PPN clip.
Really good one.
And it was thanks. It was like we had like 7 or 8 shows last week.
Yeah.
Guess what? One show wasn't in the clips.
Playaz.
Because we didn't do a show.
I did notice that.
Isn't it kind of funny how we've gotten to the point now where the flagship show doesn't even show up in the highlight reel?
I know. Well, we're now we're no longer analysts, we're media moguls.
Hey, Donnie, thank you, sir.
By the way, anyone who's here watching, ask your question, come on the show.
Oh, we haven't really described that yet.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Just telling you. in
But stick
brief
around.
terms,
You might be a part of the show. We might need you to be a part of the show. We may not have a show unless you guys do this.
That's right.
So
Well,
just,
we've already had a show. It's just we'd have to cut early.
yeah. But before we get to all that,
And now it's time for Stump the Godfather with
you give
the
Anand some
Venerable Paul Greenberg. Brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot.
Benny.
Takes
Can't
me
use-
down from a high to a low in no time.
Oh, this is a good one. I
I
this
know.
is a
They're
great one.
all fantastic.
Here we go, folks. First time in a couple of weeks, Stump the Godfather, brought to you by Microsoft 365 Copilot. Or I missed the dynamic part in there. Anyway, you know what I mean. All right. This week's Stump the Godfather question. I love this. And this is one of those where, I signed up for something and I actually got an insight. I didn't get hit up, but I looked in my email and saw this thing here. It has an answer to this question. I thought it was a really interesting question. What percentage of text-based content being created by marketers is being done solely by AI? Now, this is really cool. It's a survey of over 1,000 marketers. I'll show you who the source is after, because I don't want anybody trying to do any, research right on the spot. So they found that there are people who just still stick to the old school. I create all my stuff by myself. There's a camp that does, I do most of it, but I also leverage AI to help me with it. And then there's solely using AI. So there's 3 of these buckets. What percentage for that one bucket for just AI now being using text-based content creation, just using AI, nothing else? What do you see? And we already got one in. Shashi is going with 46%.
Whoa, that's
all right.
really
So
high to me, but-
Donnie, Rebecca, Patrick, anybody else out there, let us know what you think the number is. Rebecca is coming in at 37%. So there's a little distance between Shashi and Rebecca. If Patrick has a guess, let us know. Donnie, you're out there. Let us know. Give us a guess. Wait a minute. Shashi is already changing. Wait a minute, Shashi. Can you change?
Yeah, he can change. As long as he didn't cheat, he can change.
Okay, Donnie's at 49%.
Jesus Christ.
Rebecca is at for Patrick, that's 2 wolves.
Whoa.
Does that mean 2 wolves is like
I think 20%. I think
Is
each
that
wolf is 10%.
a wolf?
Yeah.
Is that how we're going? All
That's
right.
a 20% number.
So we got all right. So Shashi updated is to 28%. Rebecca's at 37%. Donnie's at 49%, and Patrick is at 20. We're going 20% for 2 wolves.
Right. I'm closer to Patrick on this.
All right, so anybody else want to get in before we ask the Venerable Paul Greenberg to give us his official pick or guess, whatever you want to call it?
Okay, I'll wait a second and then
we'll see. Anybody else? But if you want to go into any rationale before you give the
let me put it this way. If the percentage is actually high, that's a disaster at this point, because first of all, AI is not, we're still in the hype cycle for this. Okay. We're not only still in the hype cycle, we're still at a point where people are still figuring out what even use cases. And I can absolutely totally get the idea of using AI to support your writing. I even get the idea of sometimes using AI to write something, sometimes if it's simple, but not, but when it comes to targeting pretty sophisticated audiences, I've seen AI's marketing stuff and it's horrible. It's just genuinely terrible. Now, that said, a lot of actual marketers will write really horrible stuff too. So I don't know if that's really a fair comparison, but I don't know. I know everybody'd like to use it. Their intent is to use it. but I'm not sure everybody is comfortable enough, or the companies are 100% comfortable enough for them to solely use it. At least a large percentage of companies. I'm going with I'll call it a woof and 3/4. A woof,
the
a
hell is
woof,
that?
a woof and a woo. A
A
woof
woof
and
and
a
a
woo.
woo.
Yeah,
Oh my
WO.
gosh.
No, that's 18%.
Okay. So by the way, just Rebecca is saying just because it's
No,
terrible
it's
doesn't mean
true.
people
I'm
aren't
just
using
saying what I said in the beginning, it would be horrible if that's actually a high number.
it. So your number is 18%?
18. I'm going 18 people, 18% of people who are either, I'll call it, confident enough to use it solely or stupid enough to use it solely.
So we got 18% for the Venerable Paul Greenberg. We got
A
20%.
woof woo.
We
A
got
woof woo.
we got 20% for Patrick. We have 28% for Shashi. We have 37% for Rebecca, and we have 49% for Donnie. All right. Are you ready for the answer?
Yep.
The answer to the question, what percentage of text-based content being created by marketers today is being done solely by AI is, I need a drum roll. I know.
Yeah, we do need to add something
Yeah, I got to get a
a
drum
little
roll.
more
Here we go.
dramatic. Oh my
Ooh,
God.
61%.
Ugh. You know what? I'm going to start a movement to like stop AI.
Sashi says, I use it completely to create poem replies and internal emails. Wow. Deep. That's pretty interesting.
If 61% of text-based, oh my God, that's a horrible
So
number.
Donnie is the closest one, and he's
That's
not even
literally a horror show to see.
okay.
I mean,
You want to see?
I'm
You want to see the actual breakdown?
yeah, I do.
Shashi says that was surprising. Yeah, I was surprised, but here's the breakdown.
That is horrible.
So out of the over 1,000, I think it's 1,051. Look, only 12% are just humans doing it on their own.
And I get that. I get the AI combined with humans part. Totally get it. I do not get AI only that percentage.
You know why I'm not surprised? Because most people don't want to write. So
they're marketers
when you
and they're
give
content marketers.
when you give them a tool that basically allows them to get away with just you can create it by just speaking into existence.
Yeah, you know what? I may be 74, but I'm not very old school generally. But when it comes to this, I'm going to be old school. If you're a marketer, you're being paid to write marketing material, right? More likely than not.
Are you being paid to write it or to promote
what?
it
Manage it? No, they're just managing an employee, quote unquote, with that.
But people, it's generally speaking, people are lazy.
Yeah, they are.
And if you give them something that allows them to put something that looks like writing in front of people without having to write it, oh my God! As you can see, they're gravitating.
How often, when anybody here, any of the people who are in a comment stream, and or you or me even have seen AI material that we don't know is AI, that we really think is a human?
Oh, it's easy for me to tell this stuff.
Me too. It's like it's without even having to think about it. Oh my! Occasionally, I run into a human I think is a bot. That happens. I actually once questioned somebody who was a human. I said, "You a bot?" Right? I did because I couldn't. Just the way they were handling customer service in this case, but never do I think AI is a human.
Oh, no.
Never.
I'm more likely to think the human is
yeah,
AI
exactly.
And the AI
exactly, but not the other way around. It is just blatantly obvious when it's written. Now, if a marketer or a company is happy with that as their marketing material, I'd love to see how many of these people who responded write for really, really successful companies.
And you know what? I would love to see what this is going to be like in a year, because I have a strong suspicion the AI combined with humans will at some point start to increase, and just the pure AI will start to decrease, only because we're not alone. Other people are saying, I'm not reading this junk because it all looks alike.
It's junk. It's just what you said. It's junk.
At some point, like I've
buzzwords.
never, I'm one of the biggest users of that Opus API video editing clip, and it does a great job with summarization of clips. I mean, I was talking about this with the Brohammer the other day. It's getting better and better with summarization. But when it comes to those titles and like this, the titles suck. I'm sorry. They use the same words over and over again. And I never use those titles. I don't really use the summarizations because it looks like everybody else's stuff, right?
Exactly.
And I don't want something that has my name looking like somebody else wrote it. I just can't do it.
Basically, look, all AI is doing is going out and finding frequently used words that have some sort of probable impact. That's it. And frequently used words do not imply, even if you go to, like, if you look at Microsoft Copilot inside of Windows 11, it's got, I forget the way exactly, it's got balanced on the middle. On the right, it's like practical maybe. And on the left is creative. And the style changes somewhat accordingly. I use that all the time to help me find things and gain, understand how to do something. Like when I was, I'm building the PC, gaming PC I'm building, I've run into a bunch of problems, and I'm using Copilot to help me find what I need to help me begin to solve the problem. But there is no question in my mind, Copilot's response is AI responding to me like, this is not a customer service rep at the tech company I need to talk to, right? And it's very obvious. I'm so sorry for the inconvenience is pretty much the most human thing it says.
Yeah. You know what? I feel pretty comfortable using it for like summarizations, things that are just, they're not meant to basically be me talking, but just the summarization of a call.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah. Adobe Acrobat has this AI assistant now, and I used it on a very long PDF presentation, and it was fantastic on the summarization.
Right. But when it comes to representing something that I'm supposed to be writing, I can't do. No, I'm not putting that out there.
No,
but I'll use it for summarization because I think that's good. But that's pretty.
We've always talked about it, and the people who have been smart about it, and you talk to the Michael Wu's, the people on this, on this show and stuff like that. I mean, the people who are us in the comment section too. The thing they've always called it is augmenting, right? It doesn't say taking the place of, it says augmenting, supporting. And that, again, AI combined with humans, absolutely, 100%. I think it's probably the way it's going to be in the future hopefully for most. But anybody, if you have 640 marketers who are lazy enough to have only AI write it, then I'd get the names, get rid of all of them.
Well, that's where people remember that lawyer who got in trouble because he's having his legal briefs written by ChatGPT, and it created some stuff that didn't exist. So I don't know how anybody can feel 100% about turning over their, writing or anything else to AI, but there are definitely pockets. And I would, anybody out there listening, what percentage of your content, your text-based content creation, would you say is you solely, you along with AI, or AI solely? Where do you operate in that mix? That'd be really interesting to know.
I got one last thing to say before we move on to getting some of these folks on our show, which is this. There's another thing that's implied here, which is even more horrifying, which is AI writes the content. They have managers who need to approve it, and they have a corporate policy that allows it. And they have, you keep taking it through what that means for the companies who are allowing that marketing fluff to go through to the public, right? And that means there's a real problem somewhere in the middle of that company, right? Whoever they are. Again, I don't know any of the companies that the 640 work for. All I'm doing is it's a warning to all the people, all the companies that employ these people. You've got something screwed up about your company somewhere that's allowing that to be the primary way you do text-based content marketing. That you got a problem, and I hope you can fix it, because I'm not going to help you.
All righty then. All right. Well, that segment went way longer than I was expecting, but it was a good segment. Oh, by the way, Stuff the Godfather was brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365
Copilot.
All right.
By the way, a great product. It is really genuinely a great product.
It's getting better.
And it's the standard name comes from Microsoft.
Right. Right. That's right. All right. So for the rest of this show, we were expected to maybe spend a little bit more time doing this, but who knows? We might not have anybody out there, but we wanted to do a kind of an old school call-in session for this week's show, which basically is like, hey, there's a lot of stuff going along. Maybe there's some things that people are out there listening would like to, come on and address, and maybe get our thoughts on it. I think we had something happen right before the show started that got a lot of attention. Something around Alphabet. I still like to call it Google. A bit of a possibility. I don't know how legit this possibility is, but something came out from Reuters earlier today that said that Alphabet is actually potentially, possibly exploring the acquisition of HubSpot. And that got all of our attention. I think I saw the stock price for HubSpot. It was up like 8% today. So it got a lot of people's attention on that kind of side of the fence. But I remember thinking, wouldn't it be smart of Google to buy Salesforce and call it Google Force? And I wrote a blog post about this like 2007 or 2008. And I got really mad when it didn't happen, because I thought, well, if I write it, aren't they going to take it seriously? Of course, that didn't happen. But what are your thoughts? And maybe we have some people who would like to come on with us and share their thoughts. Shashi, I'm talking to you. So anybody who wants to talk a little bit about this, I guess this is news. I don't know if it's real news or fake news or something, but immediate reaction thoughts to this idea that Google, aka Alphabet, might possibly be interested in buying HubSpot, which, well, why don't you give us your thoughts and see if anybody else. Hey, okay, so Shashi just kind of changed up on us, but talk about assistants anyway. All right, well, we'll hold off on. All right, Shashi, if that's what you want to talk about, we will hold off on the Google HubSpot thing. And I believe I shot you a link. So if you in LinkedIn, so if you click on that link, we will see you in the green room, and we will bring you on to talk about assistants everywhere. And just as soon as I said assistants everywhere, there he is.
He is. There's the man. Hey, Shashi.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Brent. How are you all doing?
We're good. How are you?
Yeah, we're doing good. We were gonna tee you up to talk about this HubSpot Google, and then you zigged right when we were going left. So we're gonna talk about assistants everywhere. Saw the Adobe AI assistant and the Google might be considering making an offer. Well, he just combined a lot of stuff in there.
Okay.
All right, Shashi, let her rip. What did you want to talk about based off of what you put in the comment section?
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in getting your opinion on the first thing is about AI everywhere, and it triggered with what Paul had just said. I opened Adobe today, and voila, there's an AI assistant, and it tells me great summary. I can make comparisons between paragraphs. So I think that was a smart move on Adobe. But on that note, I just wanted to add, like, I'm seeing these pop up everywhere. Like, I don't know if you all use otter.ai sometimes. Brilliant assistant. It actually even writes an email based on a meeting note. Today, again, I discovered a software called Crowdfire that will actually create a tweet for you based on what you write, not automatically. Is that going to be much better of a use case for AI than anything else? What do you think?
Well, I mean, look, AI. I guess if I'm looking at it generally first, AI is becoming. It's been obviously preeminent, but Gen AI is making it ubiquitous, and we're going to be at a point where it's going to be used pretty much one way or the other, either overtly, meaning I one way or the other present a prompt that answers something or does something, or I'll call it more covertly, mean I don't mean secretly, but basically embedded into things that it would not have been embedded into a few years ago. For example, a couple of weeks ago, we were having a conversation with Michael Fitzgerald, who's the CEO of OneNote, One Page CRM, and he's embedding AI into that. It's not going to be something that the user is necessarily going to have direct access to. It's going to do things for that user. Same thing with Pete Smith, another regular on our happy hours, who also is the CEO of SpotLogic. He's doing the same thing, where it's just embedded into the workflow and the processes and the rule engines and so on and so forth that are directly into the platform. So those are one level of ubiquitous case. And the other one is, just to your point, I don't think the fact that it can write a tweet is any better or worse than it can do content marketing, or is any better or worse than anything, really. Ultimately, my only real and honest concern is that we're forgetting the idea that it's designed primarily to augment, not to replace. And it doesn't mean it won't replace some things, but generally augment. People are treating it at the top of the hype cycle, which is where we are with it right now. It's being treated like it's mature, and it's not. Meaning people are using it for everything naturally, as if it's something that it should be used that way. So it's kind of a roundabout way of, I think, answering your question. I mean, what do you think, Brent? And what do you think, Shashi, too?
Brent, go ahead.
This is just like what happens when any new technology kind of gets introduced to the mainstream. Like, back in the 1800s, I guess they were using like pigeons and tin cans to communicate. So you could only have a certain number of communications, because it was just difficult and hard, and it's hard to catch them pigeons and make them fly,
I still use them.
So once you get a new technology that makes it easier and less more affordable, more happens, more communications get made, more messages get sent, more calls get made. This is just the same thing. These tools are making it easier for anybody to create more content. So what happens? Content creation goes crazy. The quality of it probably goes down, because people who weren't able to do it before now can do it with ease. And if they're not really worried about the quality, they just worried about getting stuff out, quality doesn't seem to kind of takes a back seat. It just makes it harder for you to find the quality, because now all the content is being created. You click of a button and you got 1,000 things coming out. So it's not going away. It's only going to get more and more. I mean, I was at Adobe last week, and they showed they called it style references and structure references, where you could put just find an image and say, I want to use the style. I want you to create a whole bunch of stuff based on the style of this image, and woof, you get it. Or the structure of this reference. I want you to create more stuff with the structure. Woof. And so when you have tools like that anybody can use, and anybody is really using these things, the amount of stuff that's going to get created is just exponentially growing. And the quality, people, it kind of seems to take a second or a back seat, because even though this stuff looks great, it starts to look like all the other stuff out there, and people don't seem to be worried about that part of it. they're focused more on, oh, look, I can do with a click of a button. I can make a Picasso picture. It's not Picasso. And if anybody can do it, then it's definitely not a Picasso. And we're running into that, and we're really going to run into that as more like Adobe. I got to give them that conference last week was great. I really enjoyed it. It did feel like finally kind of the Adobe Creative Cloud and Adobe Max started crossing the chasm over to the Experience Cloud, and it was great. But I think what we're seeing is, everybody can create a whole bunch of stuff, and some people, a lot of the people, are going to be more focused on being able to create the number of stuff versus the quality of stuff. And that's when we start to kind of get deluged with things, and it makes it hard for us to get to the actual quality, because there's so much things that we have to dig through.
Yep. I just have three things to say, if I may. One, I think back to Paul and your point a little earlier, there are two sides of marketers. One who are very scared to get into the AI game because they don't figure it out, which I think is quite a reasonable thing to think of. The other part is like they feel like AI will do everything, which is, I think, highly dangerous. Now, the second part is if, to your point, Brent, if content becomes so common, because AI is not going to create anything new. It's going to copy something that it has learned and spit it out. And it'll spit it out for almost everybody who's using that. I feel like the whole analyst relations is going to become even more important. I heard like more enterprises are actually engaging with analysts. So why I say that is you're not going to talk to an AI analyst ever, right? You're going to talk to a human being. Now, the third part of it is like, as human beings, we will never accept a master. So I'm going to coin a term on your show. Instead of artificial intelligence, it's going to be called assistant intelligence, which we love, because if you say like, hey, summarize this document or do something else or create a tweet, like I said, these are all small things that are sometimes mundane tasks.
Right? Look, I mean, think of it this way. Right now, you have these on the B2C side, on the consumer side, you have these devices coming out like Rabbit, and I think it's called Humane is the other one. Yeah. Humane AI. Those are really useful devices because they don't only just provide you with insight, they actually take care of tasks for you too, which actually is helpful, right? That means certain things that you ordinarily would do yourself and would take you 5 hours, they're finishing them up in 15 minutes. But ultimately, let's say it's making an airplane reservation specifically, which they can do. Ultimately, you're approving that reservation or not. You're not just saying, go ahead, AI, make the reservation, take whatever money you need out of my bank account and go ahead and do it, right? Not a problem. You're ultimately going to approve what the accomplishment of the task, which makes them genuine assistants. I mean, to Brent's point, look, there's real power in obviously the democratization of any kind of technology. Really, there always is, but it also leads to crap too. I mean, there's a reason why there's a discussion of guardrails and trust and so on and so forth. It doesn't come out of the blue. I mean, we all see it with social media. Social media really did create something powerful. YouTube, really by democratizing video, really created something incredibly powerful. Which means that there's also 8 billion people, of which a percentage of those people are going to abuse it. Another percentage of those people are going to use it as if they're experts when they're not. Because ultimately the use of anything takes experience and time and learning. And I mean, it takes AI is learning, but to your point, learning within the bounds that it's been given, right? And it's been given those bounds by people. People don't necessarily pay attention to those bounds, right? And consequently, that's the abusers typically. I mean, how toxic has social media become, right? But when we first saw it, we thought it was amazing, right? And what it did was absolutely phenomenal. Remember, we changed the whole definition of CRM changed because of its existence. And that was actually a pretty big deal back when it happened.
Well, think about the name of the game has been for a long time. How many people can you reach with your stuff, and then being able to convert even the smallest of percentage of that wide audience you can reach, because like 99% of the folks will not care. But if you're able to use it to reach 1 billion people, then even the smallest fraction that you can convert somehow into a transaction makes it worth it. So
Yeah.
they're not worried about the quality. They're just worried about the quantity, about
Yeah.
the reach. And they'll skim off the nickels and dimes off of that very small percentage of folks because it costs them nothing to actually do.
Yeah. I mean, that's all of that's such a big, those are the biggest issues, because I think people get dazzled by the visibility of the whole thing, right? It's all, oh my God, look at what that is, look at what that does, look at what and I want to do that, right? And then they get an opportunity to do it, but there's no regard to the actual production of whatever it is you're trying to produce. It's only that I can do it. Look, I mean, I'll even not from my, think of it this way. I have an amazing cinema camera, Sony FX3. It's amazing. And I can't take videos for crap. I'm terrible. Right. And, but it's a great camera and I have it, but I can't take videos for crap. I'm awful. Right. It doesn't mean I'm always going to be awful. I'm going to try again. I'm going on a cruise in about 2-3 weeks. And I'm going to take it with me again, and I'm going to try again to do something with it. But again, it's a tool. It's all tools, man. And the coolest tools in the damn world. But that doesn't look. We got a world where we've talked about forever for how do you separate signal from noise. The tricky part with this is that there are people using it who are genuinely doing things that take it to another level. So we're now in a world where we've got to separate signal from noise and other signal. And that makes it really hard. And we're up against that en masse with this.
Well,
because there's a little bit of signal in that giant amount of noise it's producing.
But just think, we're just talking about text here. Last week, David Orwani over at Adobe, he kind of like, as he was kind of talking about all the Adobe Firefly and the models stuff, the new custom models now, and the Firefly services, he mentioned by the end of the year, we're also going to have our generative tools for audio and video. So they haven't even touched that stuff yet. They're mostly on the text stuff and the images. What happens when audio and video becomes easy? Like we saw when OpenAI came out with that, what is it, Sora? And they created that video they put out. It was like a minute and 21 minute and 21 seconds. It looked pretty. I mean, it looked pretty good, knowing that no actual person created it. So just imagine when that gets into the hands of the masses, what we're going to be faced with.
Okay, so here's the other question, and then maybe all three of us should try to answer Sahil's question.
Yeah, before he goes to sleep.
Before he goes to sleep. So here's the other question, though. If we hadn't thought that was a human video and somebody showed it to us, what would we have thought of it? I would have thought, so.
It's all right. Yeah, it's all right. What am I supposed to be looking at here?
Yeah, right. Some people walking on the street. I mean, it's nice.
But you had the context, like you said, you had the context of, oh, this is made by AI. That it's like,
again, it's whoa technology, right? That's what we really were saying and I thought, look, for a first crack at a video by AI, it wasn't bad, but for a crack at video by a human, it was terrible. It was like it was nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing to see here, folks. Basically.
Right, exactly. So what do you think we three of us do? Get Sahil's question up, and all three of us answer.
So yeah, because we want him to get a good night's sleep.
That's right.
All right. So Sahil says, I'm in bed now, but I would like to hear your views on enterprise Gen AI use cases from Pegasystems. I read a post from our buddy Don Sherman recently. Right. I believe we are not much far from a true no-code platform with these advancements in the Gen AI. I foresee a future where anyone could build an application by simple prompt engineering. Who wants to take that one first?
Well, Shashi, you should take it first. You're the guest.
Yeah, In my opinion, and having talked to some of these companies, the no-code part of AI, I think, is really powerful. For example, the problem that it solves is, again, back to the integration use case. Instead of having to open like 20 to 30 tickets between 5 to 6 departments to try to connect two systems together, this is definitely going to help. And if I think about the actual use of AI, I would probably bucket it into three. One is analytical, two predictive, number three is generative. No code, I think, is a combination of analytical and predictive leading to generative. So I think it's a very good use case, and people are going to use it. I actually think even marketing departments would prefer to use that use case than generating content. Over to you guys.
Well, so if we talked about this, I can't remember when we talked about this, but it wasn't too long ago. There has been the equivalent of no code, so to speak, since PeopleSoft, people tools. I mean, it goes, the authoring tools is what they were. People who did not have coding experience could build things. The Lotus Notes platform the actual platform was a no code platform, so people could build apps and so on and so forth. Ultimately, what's that saying? Humans doing something with the aid of tools that provide output that's useful and valuable and helps actually improve time to value, let's say. That's what this is doing, right? So Pega doing that, for example, and Sahil's supposition, I think is probably right. I mean, it depends. A lot of it depends on the last three words he has there. Simple prompt engineering. Prompt engineering, as it's turning out, is not that simple, right? It's you can do simple things. You can write a few simple prompts, but they don't really take care of something that would elevate itself to the scope of a platform, right? They'll basically take care of me asking, why isn't my PSU starting, right? Why am I getting no power? That's about the level, and even that's not complex enough to get a good answer. So I think with reservations, I think, yes, in several years, we might be at a point where there'll be guided prompt engineering. There'll be other kinds of prompt engineering that will, people will have training in prompt engineering that is of a scope that allows it to be used at larger companies and so on and so forth. And that the AI itself will respond accordingly. I don't think we're there yet, but at the same time, I think this is following a very long-standing, time-honored, historically, continuous tradition in the world of business technology, really, authoring.
I'm bringing this back up because there's something about these percentages that I think are going to play out where, depending on it doesn't matter what kind of content, because I call content a certain coding a certain kind of content. I call it's content with actual utility, but it's content. It's somebody creating something, just like somebody creates an image. It's like somebody creates a poem. So I think you'll see a certain percentage of folks say, you know what, I need to do really, really, really complex stuff that there's no way in the world that just this machine is going to be able to do. I'm going to have to do this. There's going to be somewhere, I can get to this level with using this code, that's fine. And I'll tweak it and I'll do the other stuff that I really need to do. And then I'm thinking the majority are going to be, there are things that we can let AI handle for us completely. And that allows us to kind of focus on the more complex stuff. I see the kind of the same level of distribution. There are certain things that AI coding, no code coding will handle like a dream because it's not too complex. There are not any kind of weird twists and turns into the laws and regulations. It's straightforward. Hey, just hit the prompt and let her rip. But then there's still going to be a certain level of percentage of things that you can't leave. Like, does anybody really think that AI is going to completely take over, some sort of a health thing where, somebody's life actually does depend on it? Are you ready for your life to be in the total hands of AI? I'm not. So I think
No.
there's going to be certain things that are going to be very well suited to have 100% done in a no code AI, generative AI environment. There are other things that you're like, hell no. You know, I want a dude, I want a human, I want a woman who knows what they're talking about, who really knows it inside and out. I have to have that somebody like that doing the majority of things for this particular thing. So I think we're going to see a distribution. I don't think you're going to have 0 to 100. I mean, we're still seeing COBOL programmers, you know, doing stuff out there, and they're doing the critical like financial application stuff. So I don't see it overtaking everything, but I do see it has a significant amount of work that it could really manage and take over.
Well, you know, this, I guess the saddest part of all of this is, and going back to the chart of the people who are only doing AI, is they're basically so lazy. They're writing a prompt saying, do this for me. And then they look at it and go, okay, good enough. And that's it. That's what there's no other possible answer to that question.
Well, it's not necessarily just laziness. It's just they don't have to know anymore, because they know now that they could just ask it to do it, and it'll do it, as opposed to what is this thing really doing? There's going to be a lot of people who never even thought of doing this able to do it because they didn't have to know all that stuff that you needed to know years ago.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right.
And that's kind of scary.
It's all again, hype cycle now, not mature now, right? It's below my screen there. So I okay, Shashi, any closing comments? We're not getting to Google clearly.
Yeah, I think I just want to say thank you to both of you. Like, you've been covering technology, CRM space for a very long time. And gosh, I met you all like 15, 20 years ago. And you're still keeping on top of everything. So very useful for us. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You literally have made the inaugural call-in show a success. And it's literally you who made it a success. So, thank you.
And I'm sure we'll be seeing you down the line. Are you going to be at Zoholics in June?
No, I'm actually taking a trip across the country at that time, so I'll miss that this time.
How about ServiceNow? Knowledge?
No, I still have to make the connections. I'm very new to the analyst space, and I'm learning a lot.
Well, you know, we can help you, so we're happy to introduce you to people. So just
thank you. Appreciate that a lot. And hi, Rebecca. Great to see you on the show today.
Take care, man.
Thanks.
Oh, that was fun. I think that was fun.
I do too. It was great, actually.
I just hope we didn't like create a nightmare bedtime story for Sahil. You know.
Well, he's 18 hours ahead, right? Is that it? Or no, 13? I don't know. It's like typically it's about 1 a.m. for him when we're on, I think. Or when the happy hours are like when he said there's a half-hour edition somewhere in there.
Well, so that was fun. But before we go, I'm going to let you tell people about this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, as you know, we held what was an annual event. What was it, last week? Was it last week?
No, it was a couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. And it was called the Great Debate 2024. And we had I'm not going to go through who, but we had a lot of edgy people on that show. And it was a battle and a half. Thank you.
He'll still up.
Right. Go to sleep. It was a battle and a half, man. They were going at it. And there's a point in the show where you'll hear Brent and me going, oh, we need to have more of these. And say, yeah, why don't we spin off the show? And we did.
Yeah.
Right. So
that was after all the like 4 voices all at the same time yelling at each other. Then that's when it hit us like, oh, this should be good.
Well, we should do this again. And we spun off a show May 1st. Brian Summer, Martin Schneider, Josh Greenbaum, Liz Miller will take 3 questions, about 10 minutes each, and do what they do best, which is, let's say, state their very strong opinions and if something is different from one to the other, well, fire and sparks will fly.
Yeah. By the
It's
way,
awesome.
little typo there. It'll be 2 p.m.
Oh, good point. All right.
And
2
you'll see it on
p.m.
the event. You'll see it on the event when it goes up, but it'll be 2 p.m. And it's Wednesday because it's not a player show, it's a player spinoff.
There's a subset of things like the roundtables and the watch parties that are CRM Playaz presents, and they're the CRM Playaz brand within the PPN network. This is one of them. And again, this is what, monthly? Are we doing this?
I think that's the goal.
Okay. Right. Let's say this. We're planning on doing it monthly. Don't hold us to it.
Yeah, don't ever hold anything.
That's right. In fact, don't even hold us to CRM Playaz at 3 p.m. on Thursdays.
But you know, the one thing you can hold us to is,
yes.
so when you see that, you know, it's time
We
to
are
say
done.
goodbye. Later.
Bye.